Hey, today and tomorrow we're going with rewriting equations and formulas. And just so you're aware, our practice test is this Wednesday. Our test is on Thursday. We will not be turning in any Chapter 1 stuff past Thursday. Okay? So all material, just make sure you're clear on this. All material, if you want any credit for it, is due by Thursday. After Thursday, you can no longer get any credit for Chapter 1 material. Okay? So up to Thursday you can, but until then you can't. Or after that, excuse me, you cannot. Okay? So rewriting equations, rewrite literal equations, rewrite formulas for area, and rewrite and use other common formulas. All right, what I want you to do in an exploration on page 22 of your student journal. Okay? I want you to work through exploration number 1. We're only going to do this first one here. Okay? Actually, there's only one exploration. But go ahead and work on that. You get a couple minutes to work together as a group. Okay? All right. Can I have your attention back up here? All right. So about half that time will be good to go. Hey, the area of a parallelogram, what's the formula for area? Yeah. Area is base times height. So they tell you some information over here. Okay? So write the formula for area of a parallelogram. If you forgot, area is base times height. Then walk through these steps. B, C, and D there. Okay? Go ahead and keep working on it. All right, substitute the given values into the formula and solve. So if A equals BH, okay, which of those things do we need? Do we know? We know H? We know A. Okay? So our area, notice when we substitute, we'll put parentheses. Area is equal to 30 times B, or E equals B times H. So we put the 30 in for A. And on the H, looks like height is 5, so we put 5 in for H. Okay, and now solve the formula for B. What do we do? Divide by 5. Yeah. Why do we divide by 5? Good. We do the opposite. They're multiplying by 5, so we divide by 5. Very well done. Okay, solve the formula in part A for B without substituting. So let's say we had A equals BH, and I want to get B by itself. How would I do that? Yeah, I need to get rid of the H. They're multiplying by H, so we could just divide by H. Even if there's not a number there. Like here, there is a number. We don't have a number here, but we could still divide by H. Okay, we know that's what we do when we put a number in, so let's go ahead and do that here. That would mean the area divided by the height is equal to the base. Area divided by height equals base. Okay? So even if you don't have numbers in, you treat it as if you did have a number there. What would you do without a number? Well, we'd divide. Okay, so, or with a number, so we divide. So without a number, we divide. Okay, if we just have a letter there, we can still treat it the same. It looks a little different though. Okay? So the process, like on D, the process obviously without a number, it makes it, I mean, you have to use just a letter, but you're still doing the same math. Still solving for B. All right, those are called literal equations. All right, a literal equation is an equation where you're just dealing with the variables. Okay? You're not necessarily coming up with a numeric answer. A formula, what formula did we use in that one? Yeah, we use the area formula. Area is equal to base times height. That's an example of a formula. Okay, another formula that you're going to use today is this amazing one right here. Celsius is equal to 5/9 the Fahrenheit minus 32. Another formula we'll use today, I equals PRT. Interest equals principal times rate times time. And the last one, distance equals rate times time. Those three are formulas. Formulas are predetermined equations that help us to come up with values or to convert values from one or given some information to another. For instance, if we're given the principal, the rate, and the time, we could find the interest. If we know a distance and a rate, we can find the time. Okay, or if we know the rate and time, we can find the distance. If we know Fahrenheit, we could calculate Celsius temperature. Psst. Thanks, man. All right. So let's try some of these. Remember, monitoring progress is not in your student journal. These are notes you're going to put on your paper here. Okay? So I want to just do a couple from each. So we're going to do problem number 1 here. Okay? Get y by itself. Solve for y. Okay, a hint to you, there's 2 steps involved. 2 steps to get y all alone on one side. Okay, you have to move 2 things. All right. Hey, if I need to get y alone, what 2 things do I have to get rid of?
The 3.
Quentin. X is one thing. What's another thing? Yeah. The 3. So how do I get rid of, well, which do I get rid of first? X or 3? X. Get rid of X first. We kind of do reverse order operations when we're solving equations. So normally you multiply first, but when you're solving an equation, you go the opposite. You deal with the addition and subtraction first. So how am I going to get rid of X? You add it, yes. They're subtracting it, so you add it. Okay, so now I'm left with 3y equals x plus 9. I cannot put x and 9 together because they're not like terms. Okay, how do I get rid of 3? Yeah, they're multiplying, so we divide. This cancels. Y is equal to x plus 9 all over 3. And that's how we leave it. That allows us now to plug in an x value and find y quickly. Right here. If you did that, so the question is, wouldn't you divide the 9 by 3? If you divide the 9 by 3, then you have to think of it like this. Which means, which is fine, if you do that, you could write it like that, and then that would be x over 3 plus 3. Because this part would become 3. But you got to divide each thing on top by 3. Okay? So you could either leave it in this form or change it to this form. Make sense? Yeah, Mercedes? You've got to go in this order. Yeah, you got to move that x first. Okay. Yep, the extra stuff on the outside. Yeah. Okay, I want you to try number 4. Solve for x this time. Solve for x. Yes? You gonna tell me what to do, Mac?
Would you add 4 to 4 and then add 4 to x? 5?
I don't do that, no.
No?
Go ahead. I'll give it a shot. Okay. Brian?
There's like 2 different ways you can do it. You can do it like the long way, how you had us do it on number 1. You could just like minus that. So
Yeah.
1x.
Right, to begin with on this one, the easy way is to combine like terms, because they're both x's, right? So 5x minus 4x is x.
So x equals.
So y equals x, which means x equals y, so you've already solved for x. X is below. Okay, so that one's kind of a little easier. All right, let's try one like number 5 that's a little tougher. Okay, give number 5 a go. Number 5 is actually, I think, a lot tougher. Wait, what? Yeah.
What are we solving for?
Solving for x. Oh, so let me explain here. This is 2 times x, and this is k times x. Now, you guys, what do each of these things have in common? The x. Everyone agree? So how many remember the distributive property? So kind of a different problem, just really quick, just so we can recall. If I have 4x plus 3, what do I do?
You do 4 times x and 4 times 3.
4 times x, 4 times 3. Everyone agree?
Yeah.
Okay, so that gives me 4x plus 12. Okay, well, what if I had like 4 times x plus k? Good, yeah, it's like 4x plus 4k. Everyone agree?
Yeah.
Okay, now look, with this, you can undo the distributive property. Just like you distributed, you can undo that. You could take the 4 out. You could say, well, they both have 4 in common. So I could write that with a 4 on the outside, and I could put x plus k. Because that's what would be left when I took the 4 out. That brings you back to this form. How many are with me? You just it's called factoring. When you look and say, hey, this has a 4 and that has a 4, I could take 4 and put it on the outside and put x plus k here. It's like you guys, when I say distribute these papers, it would mean what?
Pass them out.
Pass them out. If I said take back those papers, you would
Get them back.
take one back from everyone. Okay, well here I said distribute the 4. Well, you're passing it out. And I'm saying, no, take it back. Well, you're taking it out and putting it back out here.
So you're saying 2 times 6.
Same idea right here. What can I take out of each? What's left here?
2x.
2. And what type of k?
I'm sorry.
Plus k. Okay? All right. All equals m. No, we're not done. So now we need to solve for x. We're multiplying x by something. By this chunk right here. So since we're multiplying x by that big chunk, and that chunk's being held together with parentheses, whenever you see parentheses, think of it like a box. Everything has to go together. Okay? So to get rid of that 2 plus k, I have to divide by 2 plus k. Divide by that whole piece, and that cancels. Whole thing is gone. I'm left with just x, and I did it. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. Right. You're making it a little easier just in case you know what m and k are, then you could easily find x.
Maybe at the end of the year, you should have us take this paper out and you should give us the variables we have to solve for.
I don't know if I can do that. Man, think about it. All right, try number 6. Come on, you can do it.
We just skipped 2 problems.
Try 6. You can't talk. You get like too many people off the topic. Like
That's their fault.
yeah, I know. That's your fault too. So raise your hand and I'll call on you. Okay, tell your neighbor what you think the first step is. Okay, volunteer. There are 2 different ways you can approach it. Daisha, give me. Okay, so one way is to just get rid of the 3 first. Okay, so you're left with 5x minus kx equals y minus 3. Very good job. What's next? Yeah?
Undo the distributive property.
Good. Undo the distributive property. So factor is what we call that. So how do you factor here? What can I take out? Yeah? X? Yeah. So if I take out x, Vincent, what am I left with? What's that? Y's over here. What am I left with if I take out x from 5x? Negative k?
Yeah.
Okay? All is equal to y minus 3. Okay? And now what? Jason, now what? Divide both sides by 5 minus k. The thing they're multiplying by. Now guys, I will tell you that these seem really weird. Okay? I'll say I agree. You guys, you use this sometimes, like if you're writing a program. Anyone program? Anyone want to write like do programming ever?
I've done it.
What's program?
Okay, well maybe you don't know programming. Okay, or write a computer code, thank you, that knows how to do something.
I've done it.
Okay, so kind of, and you might have to say, well, I want an input for these two things, and for it to give me an output here. Okay, that's kind of what you're doing. You're giving it a place where there are two different keyholes, and those two, once you plug in those two things, you're going to get an output for it. Okay. All right. We're not going to do the base times height one yet. Actually, I think we will. Try number 7. Solve that formula. Solve for H. Hey, you guys, for those, how many of you, before I put this problem up, thought you had it? You're like, kind of, like, I'm getting there, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm assuming everyone with their hands down said, no, I couldn't do it at all.
A little bit.
Okay, well, hey, with this problem, anytime you're looking at these, you ask yourself, if I want to get H by itself, what are the things I need to move? Raise your hand. Hey, how many things do you need to move? Come on, participate. How many things? 2. Okay? Tell your neighbor the 2 things you need to move. Okay, now, anytime you're dealing with numbers, and look, they're multiplying the 1/2 and the b. And anytime you're dealing with a numeric value, most of the time you'd say, well, like, I want to get rid of the 1/2. So they're multiplying by 1/2, so I'm going to divide by 1/2. Well, when you divide by a fraction, it makes just an uglier fraction. Like if I say, okay, I'm going to divide each side, don't do this. If I say I'm going to divide each side by 1/2, well, what ends up happening is that I divide this by 1/2, and you're like, cool, that becomes 1. Awesome, that's what you want. You want 1 BH. That's what you got. Well, you go over here and you divide by 1/2, and you have not cool, because I have an ugly compound fraction. Now I have a fraction within a fraction, which is like having a monster inside a monster. You know?
Wouldn't you have to divide B?
Pretty sick, dude.
Then wouldn't you have to divide by B?
Yeah, that's even worse.
Yeah.
Okay? So, what you guys need to do, because you don't necessarily have to know exactly the math, you do need to know, however, how things work mathematically. And most of you know how things work mathematically. If I say, look, I want 1 BH. So I've lost about 20, or no, not 20. Maybe about 15 of you right now. I want 1 BH. What's another way of getting 1 if I have a half? Yeah? Yeah, if you have 2 halves, you have a whole. So rather than dividing by a half, when you're dealing with a fraction, if you just flip it and multiply, you can do it that way. That makes it easier. When I multiply by 2, that does the same thing. So if I multiply this whole thing by 2, that gets rid of the 1/2, because 2 halves make a whole. And I multiply this by 2, that gives me 2a, which is much nicer than a over 1/2. Okay? All right. Now what?
You divide B.
Divide by b. So, then I'm going to write the answer over here. 2a over b equals h. So now if I know the area and the base, I can find the height pretty fast. All right. Okay, last one. Solve for L.
That kind of makes sense.
Do your best. Come on. No whining. All right, Jacob C., what do you got? So if I'm solving for L, what do I need to do first? Can't combine these. This is an R squared, that one's an R. I could minus this. Is that what you're talking about? Minus this? Minus this. Can't minus that. It's connected by multiplication. Multiplication bonds are stronger than addition and subtraction. So what else could I get rid of? No, you don't know? Well, I don't have anything else left over here. Can I get rid of this? How do I do that? Yeah, minus it. Okay, these are gone. S minus pi r squared is equal to pi RL. All right. So, the way we get rid of multiplication is to divide. And they're multiplying both of these things, so we can divide them both out at the same time. So, the two things we need to get rid of are pi and r. So, we're going to divide by pi and r, and we're going to divide by pi and r here. I can.
So L equals S minus pi r squared over pi r.
Yep. There we got it. Yeah, you gotta like do it a little more there. What's that? So you're really not doing anything different than you would do if you had numbers in it. If we had numbers, we'd actually have a numeric value for. If we knew what r was, we'd have a numeric value for pi r squared. We have a numeric value for pi r. So L is equal to S minus pi r squared over pi r. Okay, take a look at your student journal, please. Your assignment today. Your assignment is page 25 of your student journal.
Not page 25.
Page 25.
Not 11.